Hey everyone, and welcome back to Based on the Bible. Today, we're going to become investigators looking at a single pivotal scene in the Gospel of Mark. Have you ever heard someone say that Jesus never really claimed to be God, at least not directly? This argument often focuses on the Gospel of Mark, which is famous for a theme scholars call the Messianic secret, where Jesus frequently tells people not to reveal his true identity. But what if I told you there comes a moment when the secret is over? A moment where Jesus, under oath in the highest court in the land, makes a claim so clear, so profound, and so packed with scriptural meaning that it leaves no doubt about who he is. It's a story told in just a few verses, but it contains the most powerful testimony he ever gave. We're going to break this story down chapter by chapter to uncover what really happened on the night of Jesus' trial. Let's begin. Our story begins in the dark, tense hours of Mark chapter 14. Jesus has been arrested. Everything about this situation is wrong, even by ancient standards. It's the middle of the night, a time when legal proceedings were forbidden. He's been dragged to the private residence of Caiaphas, the high priest, for what is essentially a secret, illegal pre-trial designed to guarantee a death sentence. The air is thick with conspiracy. The Sanhedrin, Israel's Supreme Court, has been trying to get rid of Jesus for a long time. Now they finally have him. They parade in a series of false witnesses, but under the pressure of cross-examination their stories crumble. The lies are sloppy, contradictory. The case is a disaster. Mark 14:56. For many bore false witness against him, but their testimony did not agree. And through all the chaos, the accusations and the lies, Jesus remains utterly silent. This isn't just stoicism, it's the fulfillment of prophecy. The prophet Isaiah wrote of the suffering servant, saying, "He was oppressed and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth, like a lamb that is led to the slaughter, and like a sheep that before its shearers is silent." Jesus is living out the scriptures right before their eyes. His silence is a statement, and it's driving his accusers mad. The high priest knows his case is falling apart. He needs a confession. Caiaphas has had enough. He stands up, his robes sweeping the floor. He steps into the middle of the room, putting himself directly in front of the silent prisoner. He's going to bypass all the failed witnesses and put Jesus on the stand himself. He asks a question designed to be the perfect trap, a question with no safe answer. Are you the Christ, the Son of the Blessed? We have to feel the weight of these words. This is not casual. This is a formal legal charge. Let's break down the two titles he uses. First, the Christ, the Messiah. For centuries, Israel had been waiting for their anointed king. But what kind of king? A warrior to overthrow Rome? A priest to purify the temple? The term was loaded with political and religious dynamite. Second, the Son of the Blessed. The Blessed was a respectful way to refer to God without speaking his holy name. And Son of God was a title that could mean many things. It could refer to an Israelite king or even the nation itself. But Caiaphas here is pushing it to its highest meaning. He's asking, do you claim a unique divine relationship with God himself? The room falls utterly silent. Every eye is on Jesus. This is the moment of truth. After a long night of saying nothing, Jesus breaks his silence. His voice cuts through the tension with just two words. Mark 14:62a. And Jesus said, "I am." In the Greek, this is ego eimi. On the surface, it's a simple, direct yes. But for every person in that room who knew their scriptures, it was so much more. This is the same phrase used in the Greek Old Testament when God reveals his divine name to Moses at the burning bush. It is God's own signature phrase. Jesus is not just saying yes, he is answering the question of his identity with the very name of God. But he doesn't stop there. Mark 14:62b. And you will see the Son of Man seated at the right hand of the power. The power was another reverent name for God. And the phrase, seated at the right hand, is a direct quote from Psalm 110, one of the most revered messianic texts. In the ancient world, to sit at a king's right hand meant you were his second in command, his co-regent, sharing his authority and ruling with his power. Jesus isn't just saying he'll be near God, he's claiming to share God's throne. He is telling his judges that soon their roles will be reversed and they will see him, the beaten prisoner, ruling the cosmos. It's a breathtaking claim, but the final piece of his statement is the one that ignites the room. This is the climax of his testimony. Listen to the last phrase again. And coming with the clouds of heaven. For us, that might sound poetic. For the high priest, it was an immediate, unmistakable quotation from the apocalyptic visions of the book of Daniel, chapter 7. In that vision, Daniel sees the Ancient of Days, God the Father, seated on a throne of fire. And then he sees this. Behold, with the clouds of heaven there came one like a son of man, and he came to the Ancient of Days. And to him was given dominion and glory and a kingdom that all peoples, nations and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion. Let's be perfectly clear. In the Old Testament, only one figure comes on the clouds: God himself. This is a description of divine arrival. Jesus takes this vision of a divine, cosmic being who approaches God, receives an eternal kingdom and is worshipped by all humanity and says, "That's me, I am him." He identifies himself, the Galilean standing before them in humility, with the glorious divine ruler of the universe. He just claimed to be the final judge of all mankind, including the very men judging him now. Caiaphas understood every single reference. He knew the psalm. He knew the prophecy from Daniel. And he knew the catastrophic claim Jesus was making. His reaction is immediate and violent, and the high priest tore his clothes and said, "What further witnesses do we need?" Tearing one's robes wasn't just a fit of temper, it was a formal, prescribed ritual for a Jewish judge who hears what he believes to be blasphemy. It was a public act of horror and condemnation. Caiaphas is essentially declaring, "The trial is over. We have heard the ultimate crime from his own lips." He turns to the council and says, "You have heard his blasphemy, blasphemy." The charge was not for claiming to be the Messiah. The charge was for claiming the rights, the authority, and the identity of God himself. By weaving together the divine name from Isaiah, the royal authority from Psalm 110, and the cosmic identity from Daniel 7, Jesus had made himself equal with God. The false witnesses had failed, so Jesus condemned himself with the truth of who he is. The verdict was guilty, the sentence was death. So when someone says Jesus never claimed to be God in the Gospel of Mark, remember this scene. The messianic secret is over. On trial for his life, Jesus doesn't hide. He testifies. He declares that he is the fulfillment of all Scripture, the King on God's throne, and the divine judge on the clouds of heaven. It is perhaps the most direct, scripturally rich, and powerful claim he ever made. What do you think? I encourage you to read Mark 14, Psalm 110, and Daniel 7 for yourself. See the connections. Let me know in the comments what this scene means to you. Thanks for joining me on Based on the Bible. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into Scripture. Until next time.